The man Who walked with the rain. The rain began without warning. Not the gentle kind that taps softly on rooftops or smells of earth and calm, but a thick, suffocating downpour, as if the sky had cracked open and was bleeding endlessly onto the world below. The clouds hung low, swollen and bruised, swallowing the moon and smothering every trace of light. Street lamps flickered like dying fireflies, their yellow glow stretched thin by sheets of falling water. Aman stood under the awning of an abandoned bus stop, soaked to the bone. His coat clung to his body like a second skin, heavy with rain. Water trickled down his hair, slipping past his temples, into his eyes, his mouth. He didn't wipe it away. He didn't blink much either. He just stared down the road. The village road was long, cracked, and empty, stretching into darkness like an open wound. No cars passed. No houses showed signs of life. The rain swallowed all sound except its own relentless drumming. Aman checked his watch. 11:47 p.m. He frowned. The bus was supposed to arrive at 11. He exhaled slowly, breath fogging the damp air, and stepped out from the shelter. The rain welcomed him. It soaked him instantly, as if it had been waiting. Aman began to walk. 1. The road that followed. With every step, his shoes squelched, mud sucking greedily at the soles. The road felt longer than it should have been. He'd traveled it countless times before, this road between the city and his childhood village, but tonight it stretched endlessly, as if distance itself had warped. He glanced over his shoulder. Nothing. Just rain. Just darkness. Yet the feeling remained, that someone was behind him. Aman shook his head. Exhaustion, he told himself. Too many sleepless nights. Too much stress. His job in the city had drained him dry, and coming back to the village after so many years stirred memories he'd rather have left buried. The rain grew heavier. Suddenly, splash. A footstep. Not his. Aman stopped. The sound echoed again, unmistakable. Splash, splash. Slow, deliberate. His heart began to pound. Hello, he called out, his voice thin against the storm. No reply. He turned slowly. The road behind him was empty, stretching back into shadows. Rain distorted everything, bending the world into rippling shapes. His breath quickened. He stood still, listening. Nothing but rain. After a moment, he laughed nervously. Get a grip, he muttered, and continued walking. But the footsteps returned, this time closer. 2. The man in the rain. Aman broke into a brisk walk. The footsteps matched his pace. He walked faster. So did they. He stopped again, heart racing, rain hammering down like fists. And then he saw him. A figure stood beneath a flickering streetlight far behind, barely visible through the curtain of rain. A tall man, motionless, his outline blurred, as if the rain itself refused to reveal him fully. Aman swallowed. Who are you? He shouted. The man didn't answer, didn't move. The streetlight flickered violently, and went out. Darkness swallowed the figure. Aman's chest tightened. He turned forward and hurried on, no longer caring about slipping or falling. The road curved ahead, bending toward the old part of the village. Toward places he hadn't wanted to remember. Behind him. Splash. Closer. Aman ran. 3. Memories beneath the rain. The village emerged slowly from the storm, shapes of abandoned houses, broken fences, collapsed roofs. Most families had left years ago after the floods and tragedies. Only a handful of stubborn souls remained. Aman's childhood home stood at the far end, half hidden by trees twisted like skeletal fingers. As he ran, memories surfaced uninvited. A night like this, rain like this, screaming, he tripped, falling hard onto the mud. Pain shot through his knees. He scrambled, up, gasping, heart hammering wildly. Please, he whispered, not sure to whom. He dared to look back. The man was closer now. Close enough that Aman could see details. The man wore old-fashioned clothes, dark, soaked, hanging loosely from a thin frame. His head was bowed, hair plastered to his face. Water poured off him unnaturally, as if he were made of rain. And he was smiling, a wide, broken smile. The man lifted his head slowly. His eyes were wrong, hollow, black, endless. Aman screamed and ran. 4. The house that waited. He reached his old house, slamming into the door, fumbling with shaking hands. The lock resisted, rusted with neglect. Behind him, footsteps stopped. Silence. The rain fell harder. The door finally gave way, and Aman stumbled inside, slamming it shut and throwing his weight against it. He locked it, slid a broken chair under the handle. His chest burned as he gasped for air. The house smelled of mold and damp wood. Shadows clung to the corners. Rainwater leaked through the ceiling, dripping steadily onto the floor. Drip, drip, drip. Aman backed away from the door. He listened. No footsteps. No knocking. Nothing. He let out a shaky breath. Then, drip. The sound came from behind him. Too close. He turned slowly. Wet footprints appeared on the dusty floor. Leading inward. Leading toward him. The footprints stopped. Water pooled unnaturally, spreading across the floor. From the darkness of the hallway, a voice whispered. You left me in the rain, Aman. His blood ran cold. 5. Truth in the storm. No, Aman whispered, shaking his head. You're dead. The man stepped into the dim light. The rain fell from him endlessly, soaking the floor, flooding the room. His face was clearer now. Bruised, broken, familiar. Aman collapsed to his knees. I didn't mean to, he sobbed. It was an accident. The man's smile widened, skin tearing at the corners of his mouth. You ran, the man said softly. Just like tonight. The rain outside intensified, thunder shaking the house. Aman remembered everything now. The night years ago. The argument. The shove near the flooded road. The man falling, hitting his head, disappearing beneath the rising water. Aman had run. He had never looked back. You let the rain take me, the man whispered, stepping closer. Now it brings me to you. The room darkened. The walls began to weep water. The floor flooded rapidly. Aman screamed as icy water wrapped around his legs. I'm sorry, he cried. Please. The man reached out, his hand cold as death. Walk with me, he said. The house dissolved. The road returned. The rain never stopped. 6. The endless walk. Villagers sometimes speak of a road that appears only during heavy rain. They say if you see two men walking in the storm, soaked and silent, you should never call out. Because one is alive, and one is paying his debt. And the rain never forgets. The rain did not stop when Aman began to walk beside the man. It did not lessen or soften or show mercy. It thickened, as though the sky itself had leaned closer to watch. Each drop struck with purpose, cold needles piercing skin, soaking thought, drowning memory. Aman's feet moved on their own along the road, slipping through water that rose higher with every step, though the road itself never flooded completely. It was as if the rain wanted him wet, exhausted, aware, but not dead. Not yet. The man walked beside him without making a sound, his feet never splashing, never slipping, gliding across the soaked ground as if the rain recognized him as its own. Aman tried to stop, tried to scream, but his mouth opened only to swallow rain, his lungs burning as if he were drowning while still standing upright. His body obeyed something older than fear now, something that pulled him forward with invisible hands. The road no longer looked like the village path he remembered. It stretched endlessly, curving into darkness that swallowed the horizon. Houses appeared on either side, but they were wrong, too tall, too narrow, leaning inward like they were listening. Windows stared blankly, glass cracked like broken eyes, rainwater running down their frames like tears that never fell. Aman felt watched from every direction, not by people, but by memories soaked into wood and stone. The man beside him finally turned his head, slowly, deliberately, as if savoring the moment. His face no longer looked bruised or broken. It looked swollen, waterlogged, skin pale and translucent, veins dark beneath like roots under wet soil. His eyes were still hollow, but now something moved inside them, like ripples on deep water. You feel it now, the man said, his voice blending with the rain so completely that Aman wasn't sure if he heard it with his ears or inside his skull. The weight. Aman tried to shake his head, but his neck felt stiff, heavy. Every step made his bones ache. His thoughts slipped, memories sliding away like wet paper. He remembered the city lights, the noise, the crowds, but they felt unreal, like dreams someone else had told him about. The rain erased edges, softened reality, made everything feel distant and wrong. The man continued walking, his presence pulling Aman along. With each step, Aman felt something draining from him, not blood, not breath, but warmth. Guilt had been warm once, sharp and painful, but alive. Now it was cold, spreading, hollowing him out. The road began to slope downward, and Aman realized they were approaching the old river. He hadn't seen it yet, but he could feel it, the pull, the damp cold rising from below, the sound beneath the rain, a deep, endless rushing that vibrated through the ground. Panic flared inside him, sudden and violent. He tried to stop again, digging his heels into the mud, but the ground gave way beneath him, turning slick, dragging him forward. The man's hand closed around Aman's wrist, grip like iron wrapped in ice. This is where you left me, the man said, his smile widening until it looked painful, until the skin around his mouth split and rainwater mixed with something darker. The river emerged from the darkness like a living thing, swollen beyond its banks, black water churning violently under the rain. It did not reflect light. It absorbed it. Aman's breath hitched as memories slammed back into him in brutal clarity, the shouting, the anger, the push that was meant to scare but became something else, the slip, the sound of a body hitting water, the scream cut short by the flood. He remembered standing there, rain soaking him just like now, heart pounding, knowing what he had done, knowing what he should do, and running instead. The river before him now looked wider, deeper, impossible, its surface rippling unnaturally, as if something moved beneath, waiting. You didn't even look, the man whispered, tightening his grip. You didn't even listen. Aman fell to his knees at the river's edge, mud swallowing his legs. He cried then, not loud, not dramatic, but broken, animal sounds torn from his chest as the rain beat down on his bowed head. He begged without words, his body shaking, his tears indistinguishable from the rain. The man watched him silently for a long moment, rain sliding down his face without changing it. Then he stepped closer, and the river responded. The water surged upward, waves slapping against the bank, reaching hungrily toward Amon's hands. This is not punishment, the man said softly. It is balance. The water touched Amon's skin, and the cold was unbearable. It burned worse than fire, seeping into his flesh, crawling up his arms, numbing, stealing sensation. He screamed as the river wrapped around his legs, dragging him forward inch by inch. The rain seemed to fall harder, louder, drowning his cries. He felt hands in the water, not just the man's, but others, many others, fingers brushing his skin, grasping, pulling. Faces surfaced briefly in the churning black, pale, bloated, mouths open in silent screams before sinking again. Amon realized with horror that the river was full of them, full of those the rain had claimed and never released. Just as the water reached his chest, it stopped. The river receded slightly, as if reconsidering. Amon collapsed forward, gasping, coughing up water, mud, terror. He lay there shaking, rain pounding his back. The man stood over him, expression unreadable. Not yet, the man said. You must remember everything first. The world shifted, the river faded, the road twisting, stretching, becoming something else. Amon felt himself dragged upright again, his feet moving despite his protests. The rain did not change, did not pause. They walked through places that bled into one another, streets from the city, alleys where neon lights flickered and died, rooms Amon recognized but wished he didn't. His apartment appeared, door hanging open, rain falling inside as if the ceiling were gone. He saw himself sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at his hands, rain dripping from his clothes onto the floor, his phone vibrating with messages he never opened. He watched himself drink, watched himself try to sleep while the sound of rain outside turned into screaming in his dreams. You carried me with you, the man said, walking through the scene as if it were mist. Every night, every storm, the rain inside the apartment grew heavier, pooling on the floor, rising rapidly. The version of Amon inside the memory looked up in panic as water reached his knees, his waist, his chest, but the real Amon was already being pulled away, forced to watch without intervening. The scene dissolved into darkness and rain once more. They walked through years in moments. Storm after storm, sleepless nights, faces of people Amon had known but never truly seen, their expressions twisting as rain fell from their eyes and mouths. Every lie he had told himself appeared and drowned. Every excuse dissolved. The rain stripped him bare, leaving nothing but truth and terror. The man beside him grew clearer, more solid, while Amon felt thinner, lighter, like he was fading. Eventually, they reached a place with no shape at all. Just rain and darkness and the sound of water falling endlessly. Amon could no longer feel the ground beneath his feet, yet he continued walking, suspended in nothing. The man stopped. This is where I stayed, he said quietly. Amon looked around, heart pounding. Where? The man gestured to the rain, the darkness, the endless sound. Here, between moments, between breaths, between your heartbeats when you tried to forget. Amon's body trembled. He felt something tear inside him, a final resistance giving way. What do you want? He whispered. The man looked at him then, not with anger, not with cruelty, but with something worse. Understanding. I want you to stay, he said. So I can leave. The rain roared. Amon felt the world pulling him apart, rain tearing through him, memories dissolving, his name slipping away. He screamed as the darkness wrapped around him, as water filled his lungs without drowning him, as time stretched and broke. He saw himself reflected in the rain, his face pale, eyes hollow, mouth frozen in a silent cry. When the rain finally lessened, there was only one man standing on the road. He looked down at his hands, rain dripping from them unnaturally, endlessly. He tried to speak, but the sound that came out was not his voice. Somewhere far away, the sky cleared, and somewhere else, a man woke from a nightmare, gasping, dry, alive, unable to remember why the sound of rain made him cry. But on certain nights, when storms grow heavy and roads empty, villagers still see a figure walking alone in the rain, eyes hollow, waiting. Waiting for someone else to leave behind.